Hello, everyone. This is Diamonds in the Rough, Finding the Spirit in Me, Talk to Me column. And today we are finishing our conversation with Pastor Chiquita Stephenson. This is part 3 on the Bridgeport Christianity Examiner. If you would like to view the other videos, please go to youtube.com/CHERI 328. So how are you again?
I'm doing good. I'm
I'm blessed and highly favored, and so are you, my dear.
Amen.
Yes, and I just wanted to, talk to you so that you can set the record straight. There's been so much talk. There's been so many people that have put their mouth on people of God and not knowing the true Hollywood story of things that actually went down and things that took place.
Yes.
So I want you to tell them what actually took place, because when I first heard things, my initial reaction was no, not her, because I've known you most of my life. I've watched you just like you watched me. We've grown in several areas and coming into the ministry and also doing community service, and you were one of the first people I went to that mentored and guided me to start Diamonds in the Rough, when this dropped in my spirit. So I knew that something was wrong and something was unsaid. So can you please just give us what really took place?
Sure. I think the sad part about what took place is that there's several individuals throughout the community, whether it be pastors, elected officials, businessmen and women, that in fact know the truth, but they're choosing to tell a lie or live a lie based upon the fact that they're thinking that if they tell the truth, something will uncover what they did or did not do during their time or position or relationship with Neon. And so I was brought to Neon back in 2007 as a consultant. And what they were trying to do was to change the brand. They had just gone through some of the court battles with the Head Start program and trying to maintain that. They were trying to clean up the images and get the programs to the community members, as well as have the community come back into the community action agency. It was something sad when you had a community action agency with no community. Mm-hmm. And the focus was not about what the needs were or the goals and aspirations of the contracts that were being given by the state or the federal government, but more so about the perception that people wanted to hold as it pertains to just having a title that had no action and had no weight and had no focus on building anyone except itself. So what I found during my time frame at Neon was that Neon had more than 62 contracts from the state and federal and some of the local governments. Within that, Neon did not have an organizational budget. Didn't have something as simple as a budget, something as simple as cash flow. The directors, the supervisors, no one knew what their program budgets were. No one understood what their contracts were, because no one ever took the time to say, we just received the state contract and these are the scopes of services that we as an organization have to provide. This is how many people in fact need to be served, and these are the outcomes that come with the service of the individuals that we're serving, and these are the dollars that we have. And in order for us to provide additional support or services to individuals, then this is the dollar amount that we're going to have to leverage through fundraising. No one ever talked about that. Primarily, people came to work and they were just doing the job, but not knowing what the job required. When I got there, I wanted to understand every contract that I had, how I could leverage additional dollars working with the 8 towns that we were responsible for, and making sure that my directors as well as board members in fact understood financially their fiduciary roles and responsibilities. But when we begin to do that, like in any organization, you're going line by line And we all know that when you have a bunch of line items that are not accounted for, or if people are aware of what that means for their budget, monies are being utilized or allocated improperly. And not because people are choosing to do so, they don't know any better because they haven't been taught or explained how a budget is supposed to be.
Absolutely.
So during my time frame, I was looking at the cost allocations. I was looking at the programs that we had as well as the services to determine, did we have the right amount of staff? Did we have too many staff members? We had vendors for an organization that had 277 employees. We had well over 500 vendors. That was insane. And so right there, you know it's something when you go and you take a look at a register of checks and you had vendors with checks that had never been cashed. That rings a light bulb. At least it rings a light bulb for me. It says something, something's not right. And so it's either those vendors are real vendors or those vendors don't exist. And if nobody's asking those questions, those dollars somehow go back into the budget and then they're dispersed somehow, some way, but not on my watch. I needed to understand that. With that being said, back about 10 years ago, DSS was doing some audits on CTE and NEON. And in doing the overall audit, no one followed through with the discrepancies which were found. And there's an organization by the name of CAFCA, and this is going to catch the audience because it caught me. CAFCA is the association that is supposed to provide technical assistance, monitoring, and training to the CAP agencies, which are the community action agencies that are located within the state of Connecticut. They are contracted by the Department of Social Services. In doing so, CAFCA is also responsible for reporting to the presidents and CEOs of the community action agencies. So you already have an issue. How can you have a contract from the Department of Social Services and the people that you're supposed to monitor, and you're monitoring them, those are your bosses who write your check? You already have a problem right there in itself.
Yes, and so did you have a part in this finances that these people claim ended up missing? Were you even involved? Was that your responsibility in your role?
No, once I became president and CEO, yes, it was my responsibility. What they didn't like is that I was speaking loud. I was speaking to the congressmen, I was speaking to the senators, I was speaking to the local elected officials. Everything that I have, I was speaking to the governor's office, and the thing about it is, everything that we're talking about, I have the emails and the details to show that we've communicated with all these individuals. This was about how do we cover it up because there are too many people at the top that are going to be brought to surface.
And so who is going to now be responsible for these monies that they cannot find, nor do they know where this money has been allocated out to?
Well, I think at this time, from my standpoint, I'm going public and I'm speaking about it, and I'm saying to the federal government that there needs to be an investigation at the state level, on a federal level, as it pertains to how the monies were dispersed. Who was responsible during those time frames? How were the monies applied, and why did the state not investigate it when they found out that the monies were missing 2 or 3 years ago?
Exactly.
Why try to wait until I'm appointed in my seat for 8 weeks to try to say that I had something to do with it? Number one, I never worked for CTE. Number two, I was always an employee of NEON. Number three, the state was the one that called for the merger. Number four, you had all taxpayers' dollars that were poured into a merger that you then turned around and allowed 2 agencies to collapse. The state has allowed double dipping to take place within the state of Connecticut, and taxpayers should be outraged about it. They should be outraged.
Amen. I just want to thank you for sharing yourself with us, with Talk to Me, and those who are going to be viewing the Bridgeport Christianity Examiner, produced by myself, Minister Cherie Humphrey. Please get this information out if you are listening right now. We don't want to pass judgment when we don't even know what the real deal is. And a lot of times that's what most people do. I just want to let people know that this is a blessed woman of God who has been in the community from the time she started speaking publicly at the Southfield Village Community Center to people and women, from her journey to the Malta House, from her journey to Neon, and also being installed as a pastor. So if you want more information and you want the real truth, listen to this, call up Pastor Chiquita Stephenson, reach out to her. But please be supportive, and I ask you to just pray and be blessed. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.